Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Bright Mind Biosciences channel, the forefront of psychedelics. Joining us is the Chief Executive Officer, Ian McDonald. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. So we have so much to go over today. It's going to be a pretty exciting conversation. First and foremost, I want to congratulate you guys. Since we last spoke, you finally got your NASDAQ uplisting to the ticker symbol DRUG. Is there any updates you want to offer there or into your pipeline right now?
Yeah, I mean, we're very happy to finally be trading on NASDAQ, home of majority of U.S. biotech investors and biotech investors in general. So it's a welcome addition there in terms of the exchanges we're trading on. Not only are we trading on NASDAQ, but we also continued with our Canadian listing on the CSE.
It's pretty great news. But before we kind of get too deep down into the weeds here, because we want to talk about the stock price, which has been trading down. But first, maybe we'll just touch base on some of the balance sheet questions. We haven't really devolved too deep down into that because I noticed you guys are sitting about $25 million in cash. You know, pharmaceutical companies are usually heavy weighted in cash to kind of pan out these trials. Can you just briefly discuss what your positioning is with that cash and how you're utilizing it?
Yeah, so we will be using that cash pretty much exclusively for research and development. We have a number of programs where we're not only inventing new drugs, but also taking them forth down the clinical pathway and de-risking them in preclinical models and then de-risking them in clinical trials, which are human trials. So that cash is really earmarked for those research and development initiatives.
Okay, so it'll be interesting to see once you guys kind of get into those phase 1 trials that should hopefully be coming up soon. Can you give us any insights? Because I noticed you got like 3, I think, in your pipeline right now. Is there any timeline specifically when we can start seeing those hit phase 1?
Yeah, we'll be in clinical trials in the next few months. We will have multiple clinical trials starting next year. That is the plan. Great
to hear. So this is going to be really leading up to this question of the day here, because I'm looking at Bright Mind Biosciences stock trading down 42% kind of after that NASDAQ uplisting. And this is really intriguing stuff because you guys almost went viral on StockTwits. You were trending. And then all of a sudden here, we've seen a huge amount of short float take over 500,000 of the shares. So if you don't mind, because this doesn't really seem anything news related, the fundamentals of your company hasn't changed. Can you talk a little bit about your capital structure, like your insider and institutional ownership, so we can kind of get an idea of your shares outstanding versus this kind of shorting attack that's going on here?
Yeah, sure. So our capital structure is I would say fairly unique amongst our peer group, especially in psychedelics. We have a very large insider ownership position. So myself and a couple of the other co-founders, as well as other members of our management board, own over 40% of the stock. That 40% of the stock is a portion that we haven't sold any of. I've certainly been buying in the market. I bought some more today. I bought some last week, and I continue to plan on buying more at these levels. In addition to that, we have a very large institutional ownership position. That last capital raise we did was virtually all institutional ownership. That the institutions that played in that are really specialist healthcare funds that have a understanding of the length of time and the steps you need to get a drug approved and to reach those value inflection points. So I think we have some very long-term capital, certainly in our management team and also in the institutional holders. And then we have a very small portion of that, which is retail. I think there would be a larger portion that came in as part of that, as part of the trading activity since we've been on NASDAQ, but I would say quite a small float, certainly in relation to that short position.
Do you mind, off the top of your head, do you know your shares outstanding right now?
Yeah, we have 11.8 million shares. Again, 40% of that is owned by 40+% of that is owned by management and other insiders and other board of directors and management. And then I would say the lion's share of the rest is held in institutions or quasi institutions that have a long-term focus.
Yeah, from a technical standpoint, I really encourage any investors out there to actually take a look at kind of these shares outstanding, kind of the shorting position that's going on here, even though fundamentally like nothing has changed. I mean, this is just one of those intriguing moments, I think, within a company to just be paying attention to. Now, we're not financially advising anybody to go out and just buy the stock, but it's definitely some research that would be worth taking a double look at. But in light of that, Ian, I really appreciate your time today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Such a pleasure. And again, if you guys ever have any questions, the psychedelic field is extremely intriguing, not only from the stock perspective, but obviously from forefronting a lot of these new changes in mental health and a lot of the stuff that psychedelics could unlock potentially. So let us know if you have any questions. We can bring it up to Ian at a later date. But in light of this, stay cool, stay awesome, and we'll catch you in the next one.